Welcome back, guys. New episode of the Ball Busters. I'm Marley. That's Lawrence, and we're coming to you today on one of the most important American holidays there is, and that is the day after the Super Bowl. A lot of people are hungover. A lot of people don't go into work today. A lot of people called off because they made a bunch of money on bets, whatever it may be. But we're here to talk a little bit of the Super Bowl. It was an interesting game in some aspects. Lawrence, how do you feel about it?
Well, it was exactly how we suspected. It was a battle of the defenses with, glimmers of offense here and there.
No, absolutely. For the first three quarters, it was the Jason Myers show, man. Uh, First quarter field goal, second quarter two field goals, third quarter
Yeah.
another field goal. Frankly, between that and the Bad Bunny halftime show, just feeling kind of like a soccer game. A lot of kicking, a lot of that Caribbean flavor at the halftime show, which to break that down real quick, visually was fantastic. It was awesome. And frankly, I wish I paid a little more attention in high school Spanish because I would have liked to understand what he was saying a little bit. Um, but no, I don't know how you felt. I know you don't have as many Super Bowl halftime shows under your belt, but I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it was cool. Um, Very ambitious, I'll say. I
Mm.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I think, it was, I guess the story behind it was very much about like Puerto Rico and events going on there. There were some Easter eggs here and there, but I think it was pretty cool all in all.
No, absolutely. I think he went a cool way with it. It was a little more of a story than most halftime shows are. Though there is a part of me that does miss like Prince in 2006, where it's just literally a Prince concert with a much
Agreed.
bigger budget. It was awesome. Um, but aside from that, it was the Jason Myers show for three quarters, and then in the fourth quarter, everybody decided to turn up a little bit.
Yeah.
Drake May with a little bit of garbage time, slinging the rock for two tutties. Um, and Darnold finally took the lid off, and got a touchdown in the fourth. But it was also Seattle's defense. Seattle's defense got a touchdown, matched the offense's production in that metric, and basically, they're, in my opinion, they're the story of the game. Three takeaways, huge in any game, much less the Super Bowl. Turning one of them into guaranteed points is even more so than that. Um, and one of those picks, I'll be frank, Drake May just kind of looked lost. It was like Seattle just schemed it perfectly, and Drake May made the wrong decision. The decision that was
Yeah.
exactly what Seattle wanted. Um, and frankly, he just looked rough all game.
Yeah, I almost think the ghosts have been sicked on Drake May. You know, go back to Jason Myers real quick. I thought he was going to be the MVP. He put up more points in this game than the Patriots did combined. Um, yeah, not a great look for Drake May. Chris Collinsworth said it best. This is probably just going to be a learning experience. Uh, it wasn't all bad though. I mean, he was able to put together more combined yards than Sam Darnold, more touchdowns than Sam Darnold. It was just he could not get through that Seattle defense. He could not create a sustained the whole offense could not create a sustained drive against the Seattle defense that just had masterful disguise after masterful disguise. Drake May threw two interceptions, took six sacks, and a very, very critical strip sack there in that third quarter.
Absolutely. Just to touch on your MVP thing there a little bit. Jason Myers did some crazy things. He was ultimately, the top two. He was deserving. But Kenneth Walker put up 94 rushing yards in the first half. That is more than New England put up
Yeah.
on the game. It is a Super Bowl record, just like Jason Myers' field goals. And I guess against what has been a good rushing defense this year, to put up those kind of numbers is quite impressive. Um, though it is fascinating, they have the same amount of rushing yards per play at 4.4 apiece. Just fun how that works out. Um, But Kenneth Walker had himself a day. He absolutely did, breaking the century mark at halftime with over 100 yards. Granted, 6 of those were receiving yards. The 94 rushing yards is just so impressive. That's a great full game.
Yeah,
He did it in quarters, you know.
I mean, 27
Um,
touches, and he protected the ball perfectly. I mean, they had zero
didn't put the ball on
turnovers.
the ground. That's what
Yeah,
Seattle has done this entire playoff run that has really impressed me. They have not had a turnover. They're the first team to ever do that. Um, Sam Darnold, 0 turnovers for this entire playoff run. That was such a big talking point last offseason and point of contention. And he bested last year's one singular game. He had a pick, he threw a pick last year in the playoffs. And then this year, it was one of the things I talked about when we were doing our playoff predictions is can Sam Darnold take care of the ball? That's going to be one of the big factors for Seattle. And he did it for the 3 games they played. But also that goes in point to the running backs between Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. You really don't have to worry about. He's never fumbled in his career. Obviously, knock on wood, it could happen one of these days. But he is very good at holding on to the ball. But Kenneth Walker doing it, and their third string running back, whose name is unfortunately slipping my mind at the moment, he came in, didn't have any fumbles when Charbonnet went down. Just the fact that they could stay so clean through this playoffs is very impressive.
yeah. And there were a couple scary moments where Sam maybe we kind of looked like Sam Darnold might be seeing the ghost again. But it was just a tough defense they were up against as well. I mean, if it weren't for Christian Gonzalez, this might have been a blowout. You know,
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, this both of these secondaries were firing on all cylinders.
No, 100%. And guys, this just kind of goes to show how much quotes in the media do matter. Uh, that was probably about 4 years before Larry started watching football that Sam Darnold made his "I'm seeing ghosts" quote, and he's referenced it twice now in this episode. Just goes to show the power of the media, and if you say something stupid in front of them. But to get back to what you were saying, I I totally agree, and Christian Gonzalez had himself a very great game. He really did. But New
Alton
England's
Davis
defense,
too, former Lion.
Carl,
But
Carlton
just to
Davis did
slip
have
that in
himself a
real
day
quick.
as well. But New England's defense as a whole, I think, played better than anyone would look at it. Seattle was 1 for 4 on trips to the red zone. They could only make it work one time out of those 4, and that just goes to show that they did hang tough in those moments where they were down on the goal line. So I think people saying that, New England's defense this, New England's defense that, like they did play a very solid game and do the most they could for their team. Frankly, in total, they were let down by their quarterback, Drake May. His biggest talking point for his MVP case, one of his biggest talking points was his EPA, his points added per play stat. And I did a little research before we recorded this episode. Let me pull up your exact number real quick. For quarterbacks that have started 3 games in a playoff run since 2000, he had the worst EPA, total EPA, which was at negative 29.2. So by that metric, he was roughly worth negative 29 points.
Wow.
However, in the regular season, Drake May was the NFL leader in EPA. He crushed the competition. He was 40 points ahead of Jordan Love, who was in second place. May had 190 EPA. But the way that breaks down is the difference between Drake May in the regular season and Drake May in the postseason is roughly Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's season this year equates to the gap between Drake May and Drake May in the playoffs. That's how far the production falls off. That you could take out Burrow's whole season, and that's what it would take to get you there. His EPA in the playoffs, his EPA per play, I should say, which is roughly about 0.34, is nearly identical to the EPA per play you would have gotten this season from Jake Browning, who had roughly a 0.32.
That's rough.
That's with about a 50 snap difference. That's almost identical play time, roughly a game. These numbers, they're not an end all be all, but it goes to show you that, like, on the analytical side, on that per play type of side, the value that Drake May had in the regular season vanished. The player he was vanished. He still had the rushing aspect, like he still helped the team to wins, but he was hardly the same player he was during those first 18 games, 17 games. And as a Patriots fan, that has to be a little bit scary, Have the 6th worst Super Bowl EPA per dropback ever. In the time we have been tracking that stat, he had the 6th worst ever. Other players in that range are like, your Jared Goffs, your Ben Roethlisberger, who did beat Seattle with that bad EPA. Rex Grossman for the Bears in 2006. The corpse of Peyton Manning in 2015. Players of that nature. Peyton Manning in the 2013 Super Bowl when they played Seattle, the numbers are scarily similar to Drake May. So it's just kind of Seattle's defense is always nice with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to pile on Drake May too much.
Absolutely.
The numbers are the numbers. Numbers don't lie. The Drake May haters have enough ammo to last for a lifetime after this game. Also, I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but he did have that right shoulder that he had to get an injection for. I just think ultimately the lights got too bright, and maybe he's not ready for this yet. I think hopefully this lit a fire under him, and maybe we'll see him again, bigger and better.
I hope so. I hope this is like got his first taste of it, and now it's all right. I can handle myself a little better next time.
Learning experience.
Obviously, a second-year quarterback, and we've seen that with a couple other players from that draft being second-year quarterbacks and things not shaking out the way you want. But I'm excited for all 3 of those guys to come back next year and make a statement because I think all 3 of them are totally capable of that. Being Drake May, Bo Nix, and Caleb Williams. Obviously, Bo Nix with the injury, a little bit out of his hands, but still, I'd like to see all 3 of them come back next year and make that next jump in the playoffs because I all think they're capable of it. And I think Vrabel is capable of making a jump in coaching a little bit because that is the furthest he's gotten. He's made the championship game, but this is, to this point, the furthest he's been as a head coach. And I think there was a little bit of work that could have been done on that play calling. They couldn't get the run game going for anything. Seattle's defense is obviously it's hard to play against, and they were firing on all cylinders. But you saw in that fourth quarter during that garbage time, they were drawing up a couple things that were getting people open and getting some success. Yeah. And it feels like they needed to make those adjustments earlier than they did.
They had that one scary drive that, they were cooking, they were rolling, they were moving the ball, but then the interception.
Yep.
And it just took the wind out of them.
No, absolutely. And Mac Hollins had that one drive where he caught the ball over the middle for the big first down and then caught the touchdown in that front left corner. And it looked like they were starting to click a little bit, but there wasn't enough time at that point.
Yeah.
And with Seattle starting to roll a little bit, getting JSN back at that point, who had missed a couple, I'd say at least a drive and a half due to a concussion protocol type thing. He went to the tent with the independent specialist, and then they had to take him back to the tunnel or down the tunnel to the locker room. And, that's a time where you need to get a stop and capitalize. When the offensive player of the year, the clear best player on that offense's sideline, you need to capitalize, and they didn't take that opportunity. And that, in my opinion, is kind of where they lost the game. They gave up those big yards in the first half to Kenneth Walker, and Seattle was moving the ball. But to go back to what I was saying, they were getting to the red zone with no success. Like, New England was getting the stops there, without any production on their side. So now, not only are you getting the stops, but their best players out for whatever, however long it may be. You need to look at that and go, okay, this is our opportunity. They're going to get the stop for us. Let's go out there. Let's put points on the board. Let's move the ball. And it felt like there was no plan for that. No extra gear. No. They need to make a few changes
Yeah.
next year. There was some noticeable things that need to change beyond Drake May's play, which once again, young, not to slander him, I still think he's a great quarterback. There's a reason he was an MVP candidate in his second year. But going back to those EPA numbers, you can't go from the best quarterback in the league to Jake Browning in the playoffs. That's kind of my thoughts, man. Like, Seattle won this game handily. It never felt like a problem for them, even when it was close. They're gonna be scary again this year.
Yeah. That cap space. I just I'm happy for Sam Darnold. He finally cemented
Absolutely.
his legacy, going back to the ghosts if we can. Instead of seeing those ghosts, he's gonna be seeing his reflection in Lombardi now. So
True.
his doubters are gonna be silent for a little while. I'm sure they'll still, peek their heads out. But I mean, who would have thought out of this draft class, right? The little engine that could, Sammy Darnold, is the first one to pick up a Super Bowl. He
It's quite
he
impressive.
deserves it.
Absolutely. He's worked hard and he's, revitalized his career like this pretty decently late into his career. I believe this is his sixth season, seventh season. Um, but as a Jets fan, I'm not a Jets fan, but Jets fans as a whole, I'm sure they're sad, but they feel good for Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
I could only imagine life as a Vikings fan right now. Like, guys, you made the wrong move. You should have sold high on McCarthy and kept Darnold, but you went a different direction and you see what happens. It's just fun to see as a NFC North fan as well. It's
yeah,
fun to see the downfall of Minnesota.
it's
But
great.
that's beyond the point. I'm stoked for Sam Darnold. He was a joke for a while. He was, someone you compare to when you're talking about a bust. And here he is, a second year in, being an upper echelon quarterback and a Super Bowl ring on his finger. Even if, it wasn't his best game, it's a win. A win's a win. But, personally, I'm kind of running out of thoughts on this game. It was a little
Yeah,
per se boring at times where it was hard to keep like locked in. That second quarter dragged on a little bit. But if you're out of thoughts, I say we call it here.
yeah, I'm all good.
Yeah,
Not
no,
much
guys, it
else.
was it was a Super Bowl of all time, is what it was. Um, Stoked for Seattle, but I'm kind of already ready to move on to the off season and get that fully in swing.
Yep.
Uh, we're gonna do a little more talk about coaching here in the next couple weeks. I would say we'll let some things settle down a little bit first, and we'll go through some coaching staffs and talk about the moves and what's to come from those staffs with the draft and free agency. We got a lot of big plans for this offseason, and hope you guys want to stick around for the ride. We appreciate everybody who's still sitting here watching us. Hope you enjoy it. But I think that's it this week. All right, we'll see you guys.